Newly appointed Head of Science Gemma Beacon is travelling to Cornwall to see a science and engineering club run by teacher Jenny Ellis-Davis. Gemma wants to get ideas on how to run a successful club of her own. Jenny's club has one exceptional feature, a giant geodesic dome they've had built in the middle of the school. Gemma's going to try and find out what the key ingredients are that go into making a popular and well-organised club. The club in Cornwall is one of 250 DCSF science and engineering clubs across the country. A school trip to the Eden Project originally inspired the idea for the dome. Gemma discovers that the students have been leading the project from the very beginning.
When we went to the Eden Project, we were very interested in how they got the curve on the dome. And so they started by looking at triangles that you can see here. Yeah. But you can also see, and they worked with our maths teacher for this, that they couldn't get the curving shape in either of these. And so they realised that they needed more than triangles. And then they started working with these straws, which basically follows the same design as a football, so that you've got the pentagon in the middle surrounded by the hexagons. And that's how they realised that you could actually get a structure to curve like that.
What projects are you doing at the moment?
At the moment, we're working towards sort of getting some plants in the dome, and that's really our main focus. Is we've got our big sort of flower beds built, and we want to get some plants and some things growing in it.
Mark from the local nursery has delivered the pupils' plants for the dome.
I've got a few helpers to help the plants to get those out.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay.
I think it's important for local businesses to get involved with schools for a few reasons. It's good PR for us. Also, it's good for the students to see other businesses locally. We take students on for work experience as well, so we give them a background on horticultural duties. But also, it's just shows them just general businesses and how they're run.
But Mark not only donates the plants, he helps Jenny teach the students about them.
What the idea is to get an effect so that we would put the taller plant, which is the banana, that would go in the centre. So that will be what we call our focal plant. And then you would have the shorter plants on either sides, the plants with height.
I think it's very important that local industries get involved with the science club. The nursery have been really good. They've sort of been in and they've brought us plants, but not only that, they've shown us how to plant them and how to care for them. And I'm hoping that that link will continue and that our pupils will then be able to, see that where their careers can take them, particularly in sort of, say, plant sciences.
Jenny's central concept is obviously the dome. All the students' activities in the club revolve around this concept. Today, the students are designing a water feature that they want to build and put in it.
What have you designed so far?
Well, it's got like a filter here, which is like disguised as a worm.
Jenny feels the central concept helps keep the students engaged with the club.
I actually used to run a science club where we did do different experiments every week, and I would get another teacher in every week to sort of do a different experiment, say their favourite thing, which works very nicely up to a point. But by having a theme that goes all the way through, the pupils that are involved are much keener, say, to come back every week to see how it's developing and to follow the idea through.
It's important that the students get a hands-on approach to science.
Kids just love doing practical work. So it was great that they could go and see the plants photosynthesising, they could change the dynamics of their dome and see what different kind of effects that had to the plants that were growing, which was key to the work that they were actually currently learning in the national curriculum.
What's your favourite thing about Science Club?
Well, we get to, in Science Club we don't just do science, we do technology and maths as well. So like when we were planning what the stone would look like, or we did it with lots of mathematical calculations.
Brilliant, so it's all subjects.
Yeah.
And how many times a week do you come into the dome and do work on it?
We meet every Thursday after school for an hour and then just do more bits on the dome.
Brilliant.
As the students have realised, there's more to the club than science. It also incorporates maths, engineering and design. Its focus is cross-curricular.
Hi there, I'm Miss Beacon, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Mr Colombo, the DT teacher. Welcome to our science club.
Thank you.
What we're actually going to be doing today is finishing off our moisture detecting circuits. And what these do is they detect moisture in plants through the probes. And if the plant's too dry, what's actually going to happen is the LED is going to light up. So, would you like to help us?
Yeah, please, yeah, that'd be great.
Magic.
The science club was so cross-curricular. We went to DTE and saw that they were creating moisture meters, which was fabulous. And I helped lots of the students sort of make their meters, and we soldered them, and it gave science club a whole new dimension. They were actually coming up with solutions of how they would know when to water their plants, you know, when the dome needed more moisture. So it was really brilliant to see that they had a problem and they were trying to solve it, but not within science.
So our moisture detector, because there's a big resistance, is actually showing. So if we actually probe near one of the plants, can you see the LED lights come out? So that's showing that there's enough water actually in the plants.
What we're trying to do is to involve maths, science and engineering in the club. I think it's very important to try and get everyone sort of involved. So right from the start we had the mathematicians in, looking at the geometry of the dome and sort of doing calculations with the triangles. We've later sort of brought in DT, and they've been particularly interested in designing moisture meters for the dome. Soon after we built the dome, we realised that there was amazing echo in here, and the acoustics really are quite phenomenal. Now I wanted to demonstrate to the kids just what kind of sounds we're getting, so I asked Mr Brown here just to come in and demonstrate.
We had a gentleman come in and sing some opera for us. The students thought it was brilliant, but I think you could really use the dome in a different way if you were looking at sound in the national curriculum. You could look at what effects the acoustics had and what different environments had on sound, so it could be really interesting for physics as well as the biology aspect.
As you heard when we were outside listening to Mr Brown singing, we've got quite an echo problem in the dome. So what we're going to do today is actually try and recreate the echo under this beaker here and try and see what we can do to absorb some of the sound. So we're going to use this as the dome, and we're going to recreate Mr Brown using this buzzer. Okay, when you've got battery pack, and you just need to make sure that you connect it up to the right places, and if you do, you get a buzzing sound. When we first walked into the dome and we sort of realised that we had this echo problem, it just made me realise that it was something that we would need to work on, and that pupils would be the best people to solve the problem. So we've then tried to recreate the problem in the classroom, where we've been able to, hopefully fairly scientifically, compare different materials that we could potentially use just on the ground to try and deaden the sound.
88 decibels.
Okay. Should we go and write it on the board?
Yep.
Hopefully they will solve the problem, and we can then follow it through and actually put into the dome what they have decided, what they have chosen, the materials that they think are going to work most successfully.
From the start, Jenny wanted the children's ideas to guide the project, designing things for the dome and deciding what goes in it.
The pupils were very keen to get lots of things into the dome, and although I'm particularly looking at the plants, they're much more interested in getting animals and things there. So, obviously because I want them to be able to follow their ideas through, got hold of the butterfly kit.
About a week ago we got a starter kit for to grow butterflies, and so last week we got some baby caterpillars, and basically we had to separate them into different jars with the sugar solution.
Yeah, the sugar solution provides them with all the food and nutrients, and then it takes them about 10 days from baby caterpillars, which is the state that we found them in, to grow into chrysalises, or to make their chrysalises. And as you can see, it's been about 10 days now, so that one is starting.
Yeah, you can see it's starting.
Chrysalis.
From what I've learned, I think that it's really important that students are the people that decide what goes on in the science club. They are the children that come, they enjoy it, and without their say, there won't be the attendance and the enthusiasm around it. So if I was going to set up a science club, I'd definitely make sure there was a student input.
Two of the students show Gemma a project they've been working on, growing cress under different coloured plastic domes.
We're trying to see which colours will affect the growth of the seeds, whether the red or the yellow will make the seeds grow at the fastest rate.
We don't think the green will grow very well because in the process of photosynthesis the chlorophyll is green, which means the plant reflects green light, so we don't expect it, because the green light will go through, we don't expect them to grow as well.
The dome in Cornwall was wonderful, but of course not every school is going to have the opportunity to have such a great structure within their school. They might not have the space, they might not have the funding. What was really great is that all the things they were doing there you can transfer to your schools. You could use a greenhouse, you could use sort of mini plastic bottles and create your own very, very small ecosystems. The experiment I really liked was the domes they'd made out of plastic that were coloured. I mean, that was great. You could do that in a science lab. So I think it's key to take sort of elements of that and make them more manageable for every school.
Have a good journey.
Thank you.
As Gemma leaves, Jenny has gone back to her original source of inspiration to see where she might take the club in the future.
I've come back to the Eden Project after Gemma's visit. I'm thinking about all the things that we could do in our dome in the future, and I'd really like to run our dome using alternative energies, renewable energies, things like solar power and possibly water power. We already have an energy park at the school which has a wind turbine, water wheel and a solar panel. So what would be really nice would be to hook up with those and actually use the energy generated by those things in the dome.
Coming back to London after visiting Cornwall, I was really inspired. The science teacher there, she was brilliant. She'd spend a lot of her time setting up the club, organising funding, organising local businesses to come and contribute to all the stuff that was going on. The children were all doing experiments. They were very hands-on and they were leading the project, which I think was really inspirational. And so I would like to take aspects of that back to a club if I started one.
So what concepts did Gemma identify as key to running a great science and engineering club? Get pupils involved from the very beginning. This will give them a stake in the club and a feeling of joint ownership. Local businesses can be a great source of funding and knowledge, but they also help pupils see how professionals in science and technology really work. A central concept can keep students engaged over a longer time frame. Students love practical work. Don't be afraid to let them get messy. Talk to other departments to get their ideas and encourage their involvement in the club.
Magic.
Be imaginative with demonstrations. If you have a problem, let the students try and solve it. Resolving real-life problems can be a great experience. Once you've set up the club, continually consult the students for their ideas. You might find them both helpful and inspiring. You don't need to have a dome. You could run a club around a different theme, like a vegetable patch or the idea of astronomy. Always keep thinking about how to make improvements. It's easy to get complacent once your club is up and running. Gemma's mission is not finished, however. She's off to visit another club run by another teacher to get more ideas.